Jenna rubs her face into the pads of her paws. She's shaken, nerves frazzled. Micah and Leo, too. Though, I just feel numb. All this insane shit is happening around me, and it's like a dream. Something not even real. There's a layer of separation between what I perceive and what's really occurring in front of me. Watching a playback of memories projected right into my own eyes. It's not the first time I felt like this, even outside of this supposed hysteria, but it's never been so strong. But as I glance behind me, the van's still there. Real as ever. Micah and the newly sobered Leo walk on ahead. Maybe it's like a minefield, you know, the hit Vsauce show?
Is it Minefield?
Yeah,
it's Minefield, huh?
Yeah, it was called Minefield. It's as far as I've seen, it's the only good YouTube Red show ever. Like, it was pretty alright. And everything else about YouTube Red seemed like it was completely a waste of time.
Hi, Michael here.
It was good to the point where it's, like, upsetting to see Vsauce come back and be like, oh, right. Vsauce is stupid. These, like, stream of consciousness, like, noise videos that are barely comprehensible, and he just kind of, like, rambles from thing to thing without having any kind of coherent point overall. And it's just, like, it's like ADHD bait, basically, as content. You're like, man, I liked it when we spent 20 minutes having a point in a show with, like, 2 or 3 seasons. That was kind of cool.
I like some of Vsauce. It's not something I can just watch all the time because it is very scattered. But like, yeah. But when the episode's over, I had learned a couple things. You know what I mean?
There's been a few.
The math ones are way off for me though. I'm like, nope, completely out. I don't get what's happening.
Over the years, there's been some Vsauce. Like, I remember one about like one that features like an air raid siren or something that like fucked with me at some point and like really got my attention, and like there's been like a few that resonated, but like something about that format being consistent and around for years and then drying up and not showing up at all for years, and then having Minefield come out for a few years, and then he comes back and brings back Vsauce years later. It's like, oh, we've both changed, and I don't know if this is gonna happen. Like, I don't think I've clicked on one for a while.
The one that really got me way back in the day was the fucking I don't remember what the fuck's it called. It's the something hall problem. It's the one with the 3 doors. So the whole thing is like you have, because it's based off of it's based off of a game show.
Yep.
3 doors. You have to pick.
It's how you should always change your answer after it's revealed.
Yeah, so basically you pick one to eliminate, right? And then if you're not eliminated,
it's so obnoxiously tropey that it literally comes up in Zero Escape, because that whole series is a guy browsing Wikipedia and being like, "What if this next part of the story was about this?" So the fucking door thing comes up.
All I know, like, I get. Okay, so I got in this whole fucking long ass argument with my ex-boyfriend about this, where I was like, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And he's like, but it does because of this. And I'm like, no, it doesn't fucking make sense. And so even now, like, on paper, I can tell you why it makes sense, but I don't believe it makes sense.
No, I hate it.
My brain says it does not make sense.
The entire idea pisses me off.
It makes me, it pisses me off too. So I got in a fucking actual fight with someone over it. Because I was like, this is fucking not real. This is bullshit. Why are the odds different if one of the doors is gone? It's like, well, because like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I get it. On paper, it doesn't actually make sense. I can write it out for you. I can read it without sincerity. Makes no sense. Fuck that. Fuck math. Fuck all that.
No, I hate that. I hate that it makes sense. I hate that it's true.
I hate it. I hate it.
Because it's infuriating. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it works, but it makes no sense. Like, it's horrible. I hate it so much.
I'm really good at word problems. I'm really good at addition and subtraction and multiplication and division and percentages. I do math problems to offset my alarm. My alarm goes off, and to deactivate my alarm, I have to do 3 math problems. I'm good at these things. I can do them fast. I know how to make a situation into a math problem, as long as it's not like turbojets and like the speed of light and shit. But that one, that stupid ass 3-door problem, I do not fucking get how that translates at all. Fuck that.
Maybe it's like a minefield, you know? Projecting thoughts and shit for everyone to see.
Yeah, just think real hard about Carl. We can take his spooky fucking doppel home with us instead, save us some trouble.
That's not how it works, Micah. You're gonna get a fake Carl to go with your fake chase. Your fake Carl will be chasing you home, huh? After a while, I can't make out what they're saying. They're talking with a more serious tone. Their voice is lowered. I'm not sure if I even want to know what they're discussing now. As we approach the edge of the old highway, my eyes settle upon a small mound of dirt with a carefully placed stone in the center. I'd walked down this stretch of Route 65 a dozen times growing up and have seen this before, but was never curious enough to investigate. It's Sam's body.
I was gonna say, it seems like a grave marker.
There's something about it that's drawing my attention, then I realize why. The dream from last night. The grave. That's the spot. I stop. The others still walking ahead. They're following the road back to town, or at least until we get to the railroad crossing, and then we can follow that. I look back at the mound of dirt, and I'm compelled to approach it. Without really thinking, I'm on my knees. Oh boy.
What are you gonna pick, Keith? What are you gonna do?
Well, you know, otters famously love to... What? What?
Just do it.
Dig. Next thing I know, I'm scooping the tips of my paws through the packed soil, digging up dirt and tossing the clumps aside.
God, that dirt's probably so impossible to dig through at this point. It's in a desert. It's like packed tight through years and years.
I'm so annoyed.
Why?
So when we started playing Carl's Route, I suddenly had a bunch of ideas for a visual novel that I wanted to write. Mm-hmm. It was a horror visual novel, and I had some fun ideas of how I wanted to play with the format. And then, coincidentally, as we progress through Echo, all of my ideas are happening in Echo. But they didn't happen in Carl's Route, so I wasn't taking the ideas back then. But as we play through the game, every idea that I did have is, like, feeling really redundant because the game does eventually do those things. And I'm like, I don't know what about Carl's Route primed me to predict mechanically what they would do later in Echo.
What the choice, no choice thing? Because that's like a common thing.
Well, that was one thing, is I was gonna have the.
It's fun. I do like it. You should include it.
I was gonna have some of the fuckery with there being like a. Well, I mean, we didn't even really know about Samuel when I started having these ideas yet. Like, I already had the idea to have another being that is in some way inhabiting the protagonist and forcing him to make certain choices at times. And you'd essentially have to beat the game in order to unlock they're like the bad ending that you'd be railroaded into would essentially give you the ability to break free from that character's forced choices and go back and change the route of things that you couldn't do before, and so on. It was like that'd be like the approach to replay value as opposed to like routes themselves. But also, I specifically had the idea of having I was going to have these things that would play back the characters' voices back at them, but the trick was going to be that the voices were going to be lines from the other routes of the game. So it's things they've never said, but you'd find then when you continue to play the game again and make different choices, you'd end up finding the alternate dialogue of the characters and so on, and you'd recontextualize what was happening in those scenes and so on.
I think that's a good idea. I like both of those ideas.
The more I play through this game, the more that ideas that I was like gesturing at, I'm like, oh fuck, Echo's just gonna do everything, isn't it? Echo's gonna do like every idea that came to mind.
Well, what part of? I mean, I don't think this is encroaching upon those two ideas.
We'll see.
I
don't know why I'm doing this. I close my eyes, trying to snap out of it. It doesn't help, and soon there's this musty smell in the air, like the inside of an old attic.
Wow, they really didn't dig him deep then.
You think an animal would have got him then?
Yeah, I forgot what the rule is. I want to say it's like
That's the whole point that's the whole point of like 6
5
foot deep and
feet?
whatnot. Is
Yeah.
that you're supposed to be deep enough that animals won't just smell them and dig them up.
yeah.
I've managed to dig about a foot down into the earth so far, and the smell is only growing stronger. At about 2 feet down, something solid touches my fingertips. I keep going, dusting off dirt around whatever it is. The surface is curved and cracked in places like pottery. Even before I get all the dirt off, I have a hunch of what it is. 2 empty sockets stare up at me, and I stare back. Hello. A voice plays in my head, much more profound than I've ever heard it before. After all this time, to end up here. The voice almost sounds like it sighs, then goes silent. Are you the guy in the grave? I ask the voice, which rings more clearly with each passing word. The way he sounds, it's like he's right here, despite the unnatural cadence. The voice in my head? I whisper to the skull, compelled to touch it. Any skin or fur has long since rotted away, and the head itself is a yellowed ivory color. His clothes, from what are visible, are in tatters, but the remnants of a button-up shirt and suspenders can still be seen. The voice doesn't respond, so I ask another question. Who are you? A tumbleweed rolls by along the road in front of me, the others getting further and further away. Instead of responding, I feel myself begin to dig further down, scooping out a few more mounds of dirt until something leather and small can be seen. A hardy little wallet with a snake emblem pressed into the center. Flipping it open, several business cards and dollar bills practically dissolve in the exposed air, though there's a plastic ID card in the back. It's a driver's license, clearly decades old, with the faded ink of several stamps covering most of it. What text can be seen is that old-timey typewriter font. How long ago did he die? If he has why is his driver's license so old?
When was that the normal thing?
I don't know.
I gotta have to say old-timey and typewriter, as if like typewriter on a font on an ID is not already inherently old-timey.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the like how old is what?
When were they typewriting IDs?
When did he get run over? I don't think we knew, did we?
No, but it was Sydney's dad.
Yeah, we know it's Sydney's dad and the owner of the cafe, right?
What's her name? Janice.
But we don't know how old they were.
They were young. Yeah, younger. I mean, they're driving a car, so the youngest that they could possibly be.
I'm just gonna assume they're like 50 now.
Yeah, because how old would like your parents be if you were like 21 or whatever, 22, like however the fuck old?
I guess they're around 50.
Chase is.
So maybe they were 20. Maybe they were younger.
I mean, the youngest they could be was 16, but I doubt they don't seem like they were 16. They seem like they were like.
Yeah, I'm
20.
trying to. They're skewing. In my mind, they're skewing younger now than I thought they would have been. I thought this was more recent history, like Sam died not too long ago.
It just seems like they would have been like 30 years ago. Now his
license is so weirdly old that I'm like, hey parents, what were your licenses like once upon a time in your lifetime? Did you have typewritten licenses? I don't know.
I'll call my dad up. Hey dad, question.
So you're old and white. what were licenses like?
When you were a kid, what were driver's licenses like? Such an interesting conversation to have with my dad.
For totally random reasons. So kooky. I wipe my thumb across the surface, wiping away the dirt and grime. Samuel Ayers. Date of birth, 1890.
1890?
It's from a while ago.
Hold the fuck up. What year is it now? 2003 or something? What the fuck year is it?
Oh god, we were better at this at the beginning when we had more reminders and it was more recent. So we just were reminded of the fact that Route 65 took place in 2008. And I think it's now like 2013 or 14.
Shit. So okay, so let's say we're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
So as of current year, he is 124 years old, probably. But he probably died like 20 years ago.
He probably, I mean, it was probably 30 years ago, considering how old the parents are. But
so he's probably like 95.
Okay, that is plausible.
He was just super old, and fucking asshole Sydney's dad's like, oh, this old man just jumped out in front of me. Like he was spry and could do that.
Yeah, let's peel him from the wheel well of my fucking...
It's such a bad death.
It was a horrible death.
So bad.
Poor Janice was trying to lift the van and couldn't do it. Okay, so 1890 seems plausible for typewritten IDs. I'm gonna say that this is this checks out in Stephanie's brain as being possible.
No.
No?
Because his license. Well, the thing is, because it doesn't matter when he was born. It matters when he died. Because when you renew a license, you get a new license.
Yeah, but you only do that like what, like in reality.
Like 5 years or something.
No.
It's not that. I mean, I've already had to do it at least twice.
Yeah, when you're young, you have to do it again. When you get to be like a young adult.
Oh god.
And then when you're an adult, you basically don't have to do it hardly ever.
But you do hit an age threshold where they're also like, oh. You hit because you hit an age threshold where it's you get retested.
16 for driving,
at some
18
point,
for
he probably
voting.
couldn't renew his license, especially if albinism has given him sight problems. That would worsen with age.
That is a good point.
He probably has his driver's license probably expired and couldn't be renewed at some point because he probably couldn't pass the sight test, which would explain how like it being very, very old.
Okay.
Just kept on hand as like an ID.
I'm trying to think when I'd stop.
We're breaking into the lore. What a fucked up... It's such a bad death. What a thing to think about whenever you're playing the smoke room, to be like...
I know what happens to you.
Yeah, it's already sad to think that he seemingly stays in Echo for the next, like, I don't know, 60 to 70 years after whenever the fuck the game ends. Like, that's already a bad, sad ending for him, that he stayed in Echo still and died here at all, let alone he died horribly in Echo in an abrupt, senseless way that has probably seemingly no connection to everything that came up to that. It's just... Congrats, that's what life is. Fuck you. But it's even bad by random life standards. It was a really bad death. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's like in the fuck's that game called with the "Don't Die in Your Hometown" song?
I just want to die anywhere else.
Yeah, thank you. Because
Night in the Woods.
Night in the Woods. I was thinking "Don't Die in Your Hometown" because that's a different song that reminds me of that song.
If only I could die anywhere else.
When I think of my hometown, I'm like, I think about where I live now. I'm like, I don't want to fucking die here. I don't want to die where I was born either. Like, none of these towns seem valuable enough for the death of me, myself, the great one. I can't die here.
That game is an influence on this one.
It makes good sense.
Even though this game started years before Night in the Woods came out, but just McSkinny, I just called out a few things that this thing reminded me of specifically, and he just was like, "Yep, those are just straight up influences on me."
That's a great game. It really is.
Yeah, no, I just had to bother you for years, like play it.
Yeah, it takes me a while to get around to things. I got too many things.
I promise. Seriously, play this one.
No, I love it.
You need to play Night in the Woods. I need to play it again and see if I can make a lot of stuff about it, maybe. But yeah, Samuel Ayers, date of birth, 1890. Concrete. Now we definitely know his name, and not just for meta reasons, because he's a hot boy people draw on the internet.
That's a good reason to be known.
There's a little picture of an elderly, pale feline with stark, reddish-looking eyes that reminds me slightly of Leo's. He looks haggard and sad. Ancient, really. A relic of another time. The man from my dreams.
The man of my dreams.
I was going to say it's a very different connotation than that. I should be terrified, but again I still feel disconnected. A passive viewer who can only sometimes speak without any control. Now you know how I feel. I managed to swallow, peering into these sockets like they were just looking back at me. I've never met a ghost before, I remark, quietly. Not a ghost? Then what are you? Another drawn-out silence, though this time I waited out. Maybe something like that thing on the radio in the van. Just older and changed now. It's gone, but I'm still here, clinging to you like a lifeboat in open water. We've been together for some time. Didn't see one another for a while, but you came back. They always come back.
I was gonna say that as a joke.
Together? I trail off, trying to wrap my head around what he means and what's really happening. I lean back some, feeling less resistance on my movements. I feel weird, like I'm not really here. You've felt this way for a while now. It's always happens like this over time. Here it's just a little stronger. With me. My gaze is pulled down to the license in my grip. Again, I read the name. Samuel Ayers. He goes quiet for a moment, then speaks up again. With him. His voice falters, a strange conveyance of emotion in his otherwise stilted, monotone presentation. I speak up again. There's something wrong with me. It's like I'm not doing things on my own anymore. You're not. I'm with you. You are indecisive by nature. What? How? I choose. That doesn't make any sense. Why are we connected? How do I make this all go away? He says nothing, but I can hear him rumbling, stirring. At least 15 seconds pass before said stirring turns into words. You came back to find the truth, or that's what you told yourself. Yet you've known it all along. You just bury it over and over again. Each failing, uncomfortable moment or horror. You can't face anything. You're just like him. The man with the hat that's always too tight. Brains splattered on fresh grass, pine needles, and a whimpering child. I don't. You are weak. You are pathetic. There's a pause, and again, his tone shifts, a deviation from his uniform speaking pattern. His voice sounds softer, distant, like an echo of something said far away. Be safe, kid. Before I have time to comprehend anything, I hear footsteps upon the asphalt in front of me.
Chase, what are you still doing back here? What are you looking at?
Jenna steps closer, peering into the little hole I had dug. She thins her lips.
Oh.
What's going on? Leo's booming voice calls out from down the highway, the wolf looking back at us. Jenna just stares at the desiccated remains for a moment before calling back.
Chase dug up an old corpse.
Wow, just gonna out me immediately.
What do you say to that? Cool.
Cool.
Sick, bruh. Thumbs up.
Achievement unlocked.
God damn it, Chase. Fucking it's like a dog.
Yeah.
It's like, you dug up a dead rabbit. God damn it, Gigi.
Jenna sighs, resting her paws on her knees and letting her head hang down.
What he said.
She looks up after a moment, spying the card in my hand.
Is that an ID?
Yeah. Samuel Ayers is his name. I think he's the one that got hit by the van.
Oh.
She looks off to the side.
Great.
Huh?
What, Chase?
She responds, exasperated. Don't you care? Someone died here. I think he matters, somehow. To me?
Chase.
Her eyes drift to the skull cropping out of the mound of dirt.
God, I've passed this so many times just out here walking, never knowing that there was a person buried here. How old is the ID card?
I squint at some of the smudged text. 70s, I think. At least, that's when it was last renewed.
Gosh, they knew what we were thinking. They answered it for us.
It happens almost every time we question something.
That means it's good writing.
Jenna frowns.
Poor guy.
She crouches down beside me, taking the license for a moment.
You should all hold on to this so that we can give it to the proper authorities for them to handle. I wonder if anyone out here is still looking for him, or even remembers who he is.
Her eyes flick over the little card, settling on the picture.
He looks kind of familiar, too.
She hands me back the ID, then extends out her arm to help me up. With a knot in my stomach, I take her hand and use her weight to rise up, without putting too much strain on my injured leg. I think he might be in my head. The words leave my mouth more casually than I meant, and Jenna does a little double take toward me before letting go.
Well, tell him I said hi. We'll deal with him in a bit.
She's just like Cynthia sometimes. He says you're just like Cynthia sometimes. Jenna stares at me, then the grave, then back to me. She brings 2 fingers to her temple, massaging it.
Chase, please don't listen to the voices in your head right now.
Trying to remember what we know about Jenna's grandmother?
Yeah, I don't remember if they say her name.
Yeah, I don't know if that was, if we established, like, if that would definitely would, like, give her pause if, like, her grandmother from the reservation was named Cynthia. Like, But that was, I don't think
she's reacting enough for that to be the case. I feel like it would be more of a big deal.
Well, it could also be like her imaginary friend where she just, like, tries to shut down every approach to it. Like, nope, we just need to keep going. Not doing this right now. She responds curtly as Micah arrives behind her, Leo hobbling at his side. You okay, Otter? I look at him for a long moment and answer honestly. I don't know. Same.
Let's just get going, okay? Chase, you can keep leaning on me if it hurts to walk.
I give her a grateful nod as I rest my arm on her shoulder. Thanks. As we head off, Micah lingers a little behind us, staring into the shallow grave. He steps off the road, pushing the dirt I had removed back into the hole with a few hasty swipes of his foot. Before anyone can ask what he's doing, he catches back up with us, staring straight ahead. We've been walking for what feels like ages, the moon still high in the sky and the taste of water in the air. Maybe it will rain. After we got switched around and ended up on the wrong side of the highway, we realized we were much closer to Heather's than the motel. So, to Tetanus Alley we go. I keep playing back that conversation earlier in my head, the voice that seemingly activated when I found the skeleton. I've heard it 1,000 times before, but I always had just assumed it was me, my subconscious. A particularly bitter side of myself that would chime in every now and then and add insult to injury. Really, lives out in the boonies, doesn't she? Leo winces some as he walks, no longer using Micah as a walking crutch.
Yeah, I don't get out here very often. Be wary, though. Apparently she got a gun, so no threatening movements or nothing if we see her.
Lint's got one too. Should have swung back around to my place so that I could grab my piece. Yeah, more
Wow,
guns will totally fix this.
So cool, Leo. Go back home and grab my piece.
What if we had more guns, though?
Yeah, I mean, that's the solution to everything. Don't you know how history works, Keith? Like, it's always been good. Leo, for God's sakes, we're not getting in a firefight tonight. Unless we are.
Bet my aim's better than two junkies with pop guns.
See, it's thoughts like that start firefights. My aim's gonna be better than theirs, though. My gun's better.
You thought your fists were better earlier this week, too.
Oh yes, the heavily concussed, hobbled wolf definitely has the advantage over Clint and Heather, both of which spend a considerable portion of their free time shooting random objects in a trailer park. I know, because I grew up listening to it. She ain't lying. At least for Clint. He ain't no fan of you. Should probably let me do the talking. Didn't you betray them? I think I might be the better person for this. The neutral party, so to speak. Yeah, but I know them. I can sort this shit out quick-like. Ooh, uh-oh. This is actually kind of a hard one, because I think this will affect our relationship with both parties. Personally, I would say to trust Micah. But we're on Team Jenna.
But we might be making a mistake. And what I know is that Chase's thought, Jenna can talk sense into anyone, is wrong. Jenna just picks fights with people at the, like, with both Carl and Leo. Jenna just fucking does not know when to stop and just will stir things up sometimes because she's just that mad at someone. And so the idea that she can always talk sense to anyone has been provably incorrect.
Well, I think the fact that the option itself is trying to convince you to choose it is a bad sign.
Yeah. Well, it's his rationalization.
I know, but the Micah thing doesn't have any rationalization. It is just Micah, basically. When it's like, Jenna can talk sense into anybody. Like, so basically, choose this.
Well,
choose
it's also I trust Micah because we don't have a lot of history with Micah, so we can't really know what his skill set is in these situations. So we just have to trust what he just said and think he's right about it.
I know, but I almost feel like the dialogue box or the choice box could say something like, well, like Micah knows them best, or like something like that. But it doesn't even say that. It just says, I trust Micah. But Jenna can talk sense into anybody. Personally, I would pick Micah in a situation like this in real life.
Also because
they're not rational. Those two people aren't rational.
In 100% of storylines so far, the guest character is the more reasonable party than the route character.
Yeah, that's true.
Most notably with Kudzu, but pretty consistently it's right on some level. Like, freaking Raven was a more rational actor than just the mess that Carl was going through, where he was giving us, like, I mean, he did give us a hand job and murder us, so like, well, I presume Mike is the one who would generally know how to talk them down. I doubt they really like taking orders from Brian, and now that he's dead,
presumably,
hopefully dead, it should be easy to get them to stop all this shit. Micah offers me a tired smile.
Chase, I'm gonna steal you something nice when this is over. You need a new MP3 player?
I chuckle a bit, shaking my head, which was a bad idea because it still smarts something fierce. Still smarts something fierce.
That's definitely not an American way to say that.
I don't know about un-American, but it's old-timey sounding. It
like,
still smarts. Ah, why I oughta.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely have heard that before, but not really.
It feels like Tom and Jerry dialogue a little bit.
This smarts. Like, what the fuck is the origin of that?
It's something I would hear on old TV, I think. I just use my phone for music. Thanks, though.
Yeah, who doesn't nowadays, Micah?
And this is a decade ago. Jenna, who's still supporting me as I walk, huffs. See, this game takes place in the distant past, when The Last of Us came out. But we're playing it in the year of our Lord 2023,
Year of our Lord.
when The Last of Us came out.
I still listen to music on my phone.
That's a pretty good show, by
Weird.
the way. You should check it out. Now you don't have to play the game at all. They just made it a show now.
Yeah.
And everyone's talking about it. Don't you want a zeitgeist?
I mean, everyone's talking about it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know what that means.
It's a good thing. Griff says it's a good thing. You have to listen to Griff now.
Yeah, I do listen to Griff.
Yeah.
He's usually pretty on point with my feelings on things. He knows my tastes.
Jenna, who is still supporting me as I walk, huffs.
I'm just worried about Carl. It's hard to put my trust in someone else when his life is on the line. I forgot about Carl.
We just talked about Carl.
I know, but I forgot. I keep forgetting that he's a prop. Like he's a whole thing.
Object permanence. Don't go missing in Stephanie's life. She doesn't remember people when she's not looking at them.
I mean, we just have the whole thing with the creepy van and a dead person who's like a skull, and there's a lot of other things going on, you know?
I'm just not entirely convinced that this conversation is Carl's life being on the line.
Watch Carl just be like, you know, I don't know, like in one of his closets, one of his dozens of closets, because he's a rich boy, and have just been there the whole time.
Well, he supposedly ran off into the desert.
I know, but he like circled back and he's just sitting at home waiting for us to get there, and nobody's there.
Listening to us have sex in his house.
That's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he stayed in the closet.
And quietly ignoring the allure of Flynn breaking out the fish.
Yeah, he actually hates the fish. That's why he's like, oh, I have to hide here because I don't want to have to be subjected to Flynn's cooking anymore.
Oh no.
Yeah, but like I said, I know them. Jeremy ain't the same kid you ditched back in high school.
Jenna hums.
Yes, I noticed that when he left us in a torture trailer to die. I doubt he knew how far Brian would take it, but yeah, cunt level has gone way up.
Still pretty dangerous, no matter what. Jenna looks sidelong toward the wolf, narrowing her gaze some. She still seems pretty disgusted with the wolf for the van revelations. And the further we get away from it, it's starting to feel I'm starting to feel myself get more and more ill at the thought. The camera. Jesus. Leo had asked if we wanted to film anything before when we were together, and I always said no.
So it's Leo's idea then.
I figured. I shut my eyes, trying not to think about it. Focus. Just gotta find Carl. A long, curvy gravel road leads halfway up the quarter-mile loop to Jasmine Street. That is Jasmine Street. At this section, several mobile homes are dotted along its length, though most are empty and dilapidated. They generally serve as squatting grounds for seasonal transients. The transients that love Christmas.
Yeah, seasonal. They fly in for the winter.
Yeah. It's like that whole movie was about seasonal transients, the one about the Amazon worker.
The Amazon worker?
I can never remember what it's called. I'm really bad about this. I think I've brought it up before. There's like a character actress. Oh, that's the woman from Fargo.
Miriam McDonald?
And she comes and goes like across the United States, and like every Christmas or something, I think she comes up and works at an Amazon like shipping facility as a seasonal worker, and that's part of how she funds like the rest of her year of like what her like loop is. A nomad life, I think it's called, or nomad.
So she
something.
just works at Amazon for a season and then uses that for the rest of her year?
Well, it's part of her like system of all the stuff she does. It shows like meets like all the RV people and so on, like all like arriving at the same place and like having like swap meets and stuff like that. Like there's just like a whole like lifestyle it's interrogating. I think it's called Nomad something.
I like her a lot. I'll have to check that out.
A little pink house stands out amongst the rest, with a big utility vehicle parked out front.
Never actually been inside before. We should be careful.
There could be like a giant hole with teeth.
Yeah, who knows? Anything could be in there. The front door is open. What?
That's probably bad. Approaching a door with a front door that's open already seems a lot like maybe this
They're
isn't...
expecting you.
Seems like more things are going to happen in this campaign. Jenna points, and sure enough, the double doors leading into the house are cracked open. Double doors. The doors themselves are strangely ornate, painted like a drawbridge with big knockers on both sides. That door is stacked.
I was gonna say, that door's got big old titties.
God damn it. A creeping sense of dread begins to dawn upon me. I'll go down. Let's get ready. And so we do. Well, as much as I'm willing to do with my leg still feeling like it's on fire. I can even see Leo wincing as he crouches down in front of some shrubbery.
You guys all good for this?
Yeah, it's just like I got bit by 20 fire ants.
There's probably something we can wrap your legs up with inside.
And the tips of your fingers, Batty.
Batty?
Said Bat gives Leo an incredulous look before letting out a little harumph and facing forward again.
Harumph.
I squint past the two of them through the brush, and I can make out the text and logo on the utility vehicle. It says, the Reclamation Bureau, with a little river insignia surrounded by the national flag. Jenna squats down beside me, her ear twitching. She quickly peers over her shoulder, staring hard at something behind us. I follow her gaze, though all I see is the vast stretch of desert between us and Lake Emma. Micah looks too, letting out a little gasp.
Who the fuck?
What? I don't see anything.
Shh.
Jenna places her paw up to my lips. I frown, peering past her fingers into the dark. Finally, I can hear something. Twigs snapping, quick footsteps, and maybe some panting? Oh, right. So we know Carl hasn't been holed up in his house because Brian had him.
Yeah.
Remember? And Heather had him last. Or specifically, Clint was taking him to Heather's, which is where we are, which is why we're here.
Yes.
That's the connection, yeah. It's easy to lose the thread because of all the other shit that has happened with monsters and things. Quick footsteps and maybe some panting? Is this gonna be Carl?
That's what I was gonna say. I thought you were predicting that this was gonna be.
There's a rumbling behind it too that sounds almost mechanical in nature. My first thought is the van from earlier. Whoever turned it on, had they gotten it running and followed us out here? I almost think it might be like Shackles. The silhouette of a figure emerges through the sagebrush, its motions frantic.
One sole finger rising from the brush.
Eventually I can see its eyes, which are a familiar bright blue.
Oh no,
Oh.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Hey, remember the character?
Hey,
we just have not...
I forgot about you.
Poor TJ is completely abandoned in these routes for most of the time.
Where the fuck where was he this whole time?
What kind of shit is happening to him most of the time?
I don't remember what was happening to him. Like, where was he? At the hotel the whole time? TJ, where were you?
He would have been last seen by Jenna at the diner when we and Leo were getting beaten up by Brian. And then Jenna came back with the food and got in a fight with Leo at the motel, and then the evil Chase showed up.
Yeah, and why wasn't TJ with her when she came back?
TJ was going to go with Flynn to check the trails.
Okay.
So I think he was with Flynn last, or they split up. I don't know, but we were given a reason that TJ was off looking for Carl again.
See, I'm not as alarmed with Flynn being gone.
Otherwise, he'd also be kidnapped.
Flynn's just kind of like an independent agent, and he just kind of like wanders around. Like Flynn being on his own or showing up, I wouldn't be as surprised about. TJ is more like I feel like he needs to be babysat. So him being on his own is kind of like, it's strange to me. It's like having a toddler walk through the bushes.
Every second that he's not on camera, I'm always worried what's happening to TJ, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's reinforced by the when we found him in Leo's route, and he was just like feral under the bed. Like, everything was bad.
Like, with him, I'm just like, where have you been, little buddy?
Yeah.
With Flynn, I'm like, I don't fucking care where you've been. Like, you got here. Good. You're late to the party.
Flynn's just the embodiment of that one fucking like skit with the office workers where there's like, move, I'm gay, and they go and they just go to like scan they like just shove people out of the way so they can use the scanner. Tej, Leo quickly runs up to catch the flailing feline, only to be met with slashing claws that push him away. The wolf seethes audibly, stepping back. Tej, stop. It's us. He whispers sternly, trying to snap him out of whatever's come over him. Tej keeps looking over his shoulder, panicked. It's coming! It won't stop following me! TJ shouts and Micah visibly flinches.
Kid, shut the fuck up. He's hysterical. Yeah, so hit him or something.
Leo blinks, frowning deeply as he tries to wrangle the cat by the scruff of his neck with little success.
Like a kitten.
What? I am not going to punch TJ.
Oh, so you get to beat up my friends and it's totally fine.
Micah's grumbling trails off into a disgruntled mumble as TJ yowls. He keeps trying to scramble away, kicking up clouds of dust everywhere. The cat looks horrible. Goat head brambles stuck in his fur, tumbleweed sticks in his shirt, his pants ripped at the seams. It looks like he's been out running in the wilds for a while. Jenna squeezes my shoulder some before moving from the side, approaching the increasingly feral-looking lynx.
TJ, it's me, Jenna.
She speaks softly, a calming tone in her voice.
I'm here with Leo, Chase, and our new friend, Micah. You're okay.
That rumbling sound is getting closer. Soon I can see headlights gleaming across the desert. It's a pickup truck, and it's not even on the roads, the driver just careening through the desert straight towards us. TJ's eyes bulge, head swiveling toward the sound, even as Leo wrestles him to his knees. Doesn't Brian have a truck?
That's what I was just worried about. Brian does have a truck.
Oh no, oh no, 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 no! It's the thing! It's the thing from... He breathes and... He breathes in sharply, looking at him for a moment. The monster!
The monster?
Jenna repeats, peering at the approaching truck.
Fuck, is that Jeremy and Clint? No.
She lets out a relieved sigh. I recognize that busted grill. The vehicle begins to slow, until it rolls into idle and parks about 10 meters from where we're squatting. Is it Flynn? A towering figure emerges from the inside, a rifle in his hands. Yep. Oh my god.
Our hero again!
This is how he just shows up every round, apparently.
Like I said, he doesn't surprise me when he shows up. He's just like, yeah, I'm here.
He's got his shit together, apparently, even in the nightmare.
Yeah, look at his shirt. He's well-dressed man.
Intentionally undressed man. That's a lot of buttons to intentionally have open.
Like I said, that takes effort.
Also, this shirt has a fuck you number of buttons.
It's a
I've never owned a shirt with this many. That's like twice as many as it should have, I feel like.
No, that's just an annoying number of buttons.
Yeah.
But Flynn's like, you know.
Yeah, I'm only going to button the normal number of buttons. The rest of these can fuck off.
No, I think he's just like, you know, like, I am worth the extra effort. You have to unbutton all these buttons to get to this precious man.
Just rip it open.
Yeah, that's actually what he wants. That's why he wears so many buttons. It's
annoying.
it's like a taunt. It's like, I dare you to bust this shirt open with this many buttons. I bet you can't do it.
Fucking hell. Flynn blinks at all of us, then shifts his attention back to TJ. The lynx is staring at him as if he is just the horror of all horrors, jaw agape and silent scream as he writhes in Leo's grasp.
Flynn.
Jenna growls.
I guess we're all just hollering now.
Micah briefly glances over his shoulder towards the house. No movement inside.
What did you do?
What did I do? Sure as shit would like to know. 1 minute we're searching for Carl, the next he's just staring at me with that crazed look in his eyes. He started crying, snotting all over the place. I have been chasing this little shit for fuck knows how long while the whole town is falling apart. Lost him for a bit, so I went home and grabbed my repeater.
So I can shoot him dead when I find him.
Flynn holds up his rifle, and I can see it's pretty damn old-timey looking. Like the sort you'd see in old westerns. With metal that looks more brassy than iron. He shifts his gaze from TJ to the rest of us, then frowns.
Of course he'd have some, like, historical-ass fancy gun.
Yeah. The fuck you guys have been up to? No one immediately speaks. To be fair, I'm not quite sure how to answer either. It would take hours to summarize everything that's happened since Flynn and TJ were around. Surviving. I rubbed the back of my neck. But we found Carl. You did? Flynn perks right up, the visible exhaustion he'd worn like a second skin seeming to dissolve right off him.
It's just funny because he's a lizard.
He's a lizard.
And he sheds his skin all the time, and also he's in love with Carl.
He's gonna change colors now. Now he's gonna be purple instead of orange.
Dude, he would be in trouble if his colors reflected how he felt. Because every time Carl would walk by, he'd like light up like a fucking Christmas tree.
A horny full body mood ring. Where is he? I swallow, realizing how dry my throat is as I try to make the right words.
Duke and my brother have him.
Jenna interjects.
We were briefly and unwillingly detained at Brian's. Carl was there, but Jeremy and Duke were told to take him to Heather's place. Hence...
She gestures towards the pink house.
Why we are here.
You are fucking shitting me. We are not. Jin is wrought, speechless, bringing his fingers to his forehead and gritting his teeth. This is so fucking nuts. He brandishes his repeater across his chest, pulling back the lever and checking the chamber with an increasing look of trepidation on his face. Let's not waste any more time, then. He slams the lever back into place, stepping forward. TJ flinches, though the lynx looks less terrified and more confused now. Ooh. I was very nervous when he moved.
You thought something was going to come in between, right?
Yeah, once he moved to the right, I was ready to see something behind him in the darkness. That fucking tree that's always in the middle, like, is such a monster shape.
I mean, the option's still there.
Like, what a reveal.
Somebody can pop up in between them at any time.
Yeah.
Whoa there, Mayor's boy. Jeremy and Duke might be packing, and we know for sure Heather is.
Mm-hmm. So, slow your roll, yeah? Hearing this information, it looks like roll slowing is the exact opposite of what Flynn wants to do, but he does stop. Glancing back, he seems like he's about to snap at Leo, but spots his bloody leg and swelling around his muzzle and forehead. His expression softens. Guys?
See, that's why they separated, for them to enter in the middle there.
Yeah. Our attention shifts to the lynx cradled in Leo's arms, who is peering at us through bloodshot eyes.
Oh, little baby TJ.
Tej? Leo loosens his grip on him, and the lynx props himself up on one knee, taking stock of his surroundings as if for the first time. Hello? Jenna exchanges a look with the rest of us before speaking.
Welcome back to reality.
Snap, there goes gravity.
You beat me
every
to
time.
It. I can't help it. It's just built in my bones. I'm from that era.
I have this exact same exchange with Andrew every single time.
With the
there goes gravity.
Yep.
Oh, he's so mad, but he won't give up that easy.
Andrew's revealed his age.
Which is our age.
Our age.
Shocking,
yes.
Wow.
Oh, we're old, oh no.
The person that I met in high school is my age? Gasp.
Weird, ew. That hums nasty stuff, ain't it, kid?
He clutches his ears. I don't know what you're talking about. Leo snaps his fingers a few times in front of TJ's face before waving his paw in front of him. TJ stares, flinching with a delayed reaction. Not too sure he's fully back with us yet. Flynn swipes his hand through the air, grimacing. Okay, enough of this. Wolf boy, what's the plan? I blink, realizing how naturally everyone defers to Leo when the going gets rough. Just like when we were kids. I don't see Jeremy or Duke's ride out front, so I assume they aren't here. We should take a look around inside, but we need to be careful.
They could be back any minute.
Yeah. We all begin to follow in line behind Leo, all of us pretty damn well aware our element of surprise is long gone, what with all the gun cocking and yelling and screaming and happy reunions.
Yeah, not the time for any of that, TJ.
There will be blood.